What's up, people? Welcome back to a brand new video, and this is the second video of the Python coding course. And in this video, we'll be getting familiar with some basic concepts that are needed for Python programming. So, without wasting time, let's get started. So, I hope that you've seen the first video, and if not, be sure to check that out before this video. And this is PyCharm IDE, and the most basic thing is that Python can be used as a calculator. How? Let us see. Right here, you can see Python console. You can click it and you'll see a window like this. Just wait for some time till you see this on your screen. So this is basically the Python console, and it can be used as a calculator. For example, for some simple calculations like 4 by 5, we write 4 slash 5 and we press enter, we get the output as 0.8, which is correct. Even the toughest of the calculations it can do in a minute, just like a simple calculator. For example, let's input some random integers. For example, 159876 divided by, let's say, 36594. There you go, you have your answer. So Python, rather than uh, being used as a programming language, Python console can also be used as a ready to go calculator for some calculations while we are coding. All right, let's get back to the script mode. Okay, so now we'll be getting familiar with the topic of comments. What are comments? Comments are basically are a text which help the coder to know which function is doing what. For example, if I write a function, say print and then abcd. Now, for a person who does not know what Python coding is like, he or she may not be familiar with what this function does. So we write comments just beside it or above it or below it. We usually write beside it or above it. And there are two types of comments: single line comments and multi line comments. Single line comments are demarcated using a hashtag symbol. For example, I write hash, this is this is a single line comment. This is how we write a single line comment. And why we call it a single line comment? Because if we press enter and try to write something else, new line, then this won't be considered as a part of this comment. Now, what are multi-line comments? Multi-line comments, as the name suggests, can be expanded over a set of lines. For example, in this case, we were not able to, the new line was not considered to be a part of this comment. But when we write multi-line comments which are demarcated by triple quotes or triple single quotes like this, or they can be demarcated by triple double quotes like this, three times double quotes. We'll prefer triple single quotes, and this is a multi-line comments. Let's prove it how. This this is the first line of a multi-line, sorry, multi-line comment. Okay, till here it's going fine. Let's try to write in the next line, but be sure to write in uh, these triple quotes only. If you write outside it, it won't be considered a part of this multi-line comment. So let us see. This is the second line of the multi-line comment. And there you go. It's considered a part of this full comment only. How how can we see this? Because you can see these two lines have the same color, whereas if I write this new line, this has a grayish color, this has a white color. So this proves that um, this triple quotes can be used as a multi-line comments. We usually use multi-line comments as doc strings, which we'll be learning later. And one thing to note is that comments are just ignored away by the interpreter of by the Python interpreter. It just sees it. If it's a comment, then it skips ahead and executes other pieces of code if they are present any. For example, if I try to run this script, I click on run scratch, and it's running. Process finished with exit code 0, which means the program has ended. And since you cannot see any behavior by the computer, therefore you can consider that the comments are ignored by the Python interpreter. Okay, now moving on to the second topic, it's the print statements. Print statements, as the name suggests, helps us to display some text or integers on the screen. For example, uh, I want to show the user of the code that the creator of this program is me, Bhavnoor Singh, and I want to display that on the screen. I can use the print function for that. Print, I can write it as print and then a parenthesis, and inside that a double quotes. Double quotes. Uh, I will enclose my name is Bhavnoor Singh in double quotes, and then I'll close the bracket, close the parenthesis. This is how we use a basic uh, print statement. If I run it, then you will see that my name is Bhavnoor Singh is printed on the screen. There you go. So whenever the Python interpreter encounters a print statement like this, it knows that whatever is written inside this should be printed on the screen, should be displayed on the screen. All right. Now, the print function has two parameters which can be used in some cases. For example, I want to generate a custom password for, say, my email ID. So, what I can do is it can comprise, and the rules are that it can comprise of any random number and my surname. All right. So, I write any random number 12348 and then any and then my surname. All right. So, we have written this. Also, note that if you want to write two separate things, then you can use a comma in between, and they all will be printed like this on the screen. 12348 and with the space in between Singh. Now I didn't write this space. Where did this come from? This is the work of our first parameter, first important parameter, which is the separator parameter. By default, its value is a space, which means whatever if you write things separated by a comma, then what should lie in between these two things? By default, its value is space. That's why we see a space in between 12348 and 6. But we can customize it by writing, since we were trying to make a password generator, then in that case, say we customize it as hashtag, a random number hashtag your surname. All right. So if now I run it, then you can see that on the screen 12348 and then hashtag and then Singh. There you go. Right. I can customize it to be any random thing. For example, I write um, hashtag star underscore underscore. So this whole text will be inserted in between these two. If I have multiple things, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, then Singh, then say 3, 4, 5, then it will be printed as 12348 hash hashtag star star underscore underscore, then sing, then hashtag star star underscore underscore, and then 3435 or whatever. Like if I run it now, then you will see on the screen it's printed 12348 hashtag star star underscore underscore, and then sing. Right? Okay. Now you can see that there is a empty line right there. I did not to the computer to insert an empty line at the end. This is the work of the end function. End function, and sorry, not end function, end parameter. What end parameter does is that it takes in uh, an input. By default, its value is a new line character, and that's why you can see a new line in here. But we can also customize it. For example, if I write end is equal to, say, whatever I want this to be. Alright, so this end is equal to a particular line is independent of how many parameters are there. Say, sorry, how many words are separated by a comma. Alright, what it does is it will just print this string on the screen, and at the end it will just place something sort of this at the end. By default, its value is a new line character, but now we have customized it. So what we'll see, let us first think, ponder on it by ourselves. The output should be 12348, then hashtag star star underscore underscore, then sing, and then this word. If I run it and see the output, let's see what it is. It is 12348 hashtag star star underscore underscore sing, and then a vertical line. And that's exactly what we thought. All right. So these are the functions of the set parameter and the end parameter. Moving on to the next topic, I just comment this out. The next topic is uh, variables, data types, and typecasting. After variables, data types, and typecasting, we'll be ending the video. And in the next video, you'll be learning about if, elif, else ladder. Alright, what are variables? Variables are sort of a box in which we can keep our things and access them whenever we want. For example, we use a box to store the rice. And whenever we want to make rice, we take some rice out of it and then cook it. Right? So we know where the location of the rice is if we put it in a box. If we just scatter it all over the house, we don't know where the rice is, right? So that's the work of a variable. It stores a value, and whenever we want to use that value, we can access it using that variable name. All right. So a variable name can be written as, for example, if I want to store a number, say my age, then I can write the variable name as age and then assign it using the equal to parameter, equal to operator, and then I can write my age 16. All right, now this age box, this this box with a slip, with the name slip of age, will contain the value 16, and whenever I want to use my age, I can just write age instead of writing 16 everywhere. All right, so for example, I want to print on the screen my name is, sorry, my age is, and then comma, and then I don't need to write 16 like this or 16 like this. I can just write age. And what will it do is it will first see that age is that 16 is assigned to age. Okay, so the computer is thinking that, okay, age has the value 16. Now whenever I see age, I just have to remove that word age and put 16 in that place. All right. So when it encounters this print statement, it now knows that it has to display something. So it has to display my name is, and then with a space, and then age. Now the computer recalls that whenever it has to see age, it has to replace age with 16. So it will print my name is, sorry, my age is space 16. Let us see what the actual output is. The actual output is what we thought. My name is, and then space, and then, sorry, my age is, and then space, and then 16. That's what we thought. All right. Now, there are some rules and regulations in writing the names of um the variables. The rules and regulations are as follows. They are that first, let us use a multi-line comment for this. All right. 1, 2, 3. Let us use a multi-line comment for this. The first rule is that variables names cannot contain any special character except for an underscore. All right. Variable names, sorry, names cannot contain any special character except for an underscore. All right. Now, the second postulate is that variables names cannot begin with a number, though they can contain a number, but they cannot begin with a number. So I'll just copy this. Variable names cannot variable names cannot begin with a number. All right. So the third thing is that variable names cannot consist of the reserved keywords that Python already has. For example, if I show you print, when we write print, you can see its color changes. Its color changes to somewhat purplish, right? If I write for, if I write is, if I write not, if I write range, if I write if I write else, I'll just, all right. If I write else here, if I write elif here, all these color change. This indicates that they are uh, the reserved keywords. You can also Google the reserved keywords. All right. So variable names cannot be reserved keywords. All right. Now, and this is not a very strict postulate, uh, lest the first three are. This is that variable names should be somewhat sensible. Like I wanted to store my age only, so I use the variable name age. Now if I wrote ABCD, the variable the another coder who is studying the code of someone else would not be able to interpret what that variable ABCD is for. He or she has to go to the variable declaration and then see what the value is. All right. So it's better to use some sensible names while writing the variable names. Variable names must be relevant to what value is being stored. All right. So these were the important postulates. And now let's move on to data types. What are the different data types? What are data types? Data types, as from the word, you can interpret that there are different types of data. For example, they can be textual data, they can be numerical data. Numerical data further can be divided into decimals and integers and complex numbers. And data can also be boolean values like true or false. All right. So these are different kind of data types. All right. Like string data type, integer data type, float data type. These are the terminologies that are used in Python while referring to text data types, uh, integer data types, and decimal data types, respectively. All right. So I'll just write the different types of data types. Different data types are string, string, integer, and float, and boolean, and complex. Complex is for complex numbers like uh, 2 plus 3 2 plus 3 I cap, sorry, 2 plus 3 iota. All right, that kind of numbers are referred as complex numbers. That's a different thing. That's a we'll not focus on what complex numbers are. This is a topic for the math people. We'll just focus on how are complex numbers or booleans or float or integers or strings are used in Python. All right, strings. What are strings? Strings consist of textual data, and as you can see that this was a text data, and we enclosed it in double quotes, right? So this means that string data types are those data types are demarcated using double quote, using some text inside double quotes or single quotes. For example, I'd like to use a variable, say name is equal to uh, Bhavnoor Singh. All right. So as you can see that as soon as I use double quotes and write something in it, its color changes to green, which indicates that it's a string, right? So you can use a type operator, sorry, type function to identify what type of data type it is. If I print type of this variable name and then I run it, you can see that it says class str. Str stands for string. Similarly, int stands for integer, float stands for float, bool stands for boolean, complex stands for complex. All right. Now I'll just comment this. Now moving ahead, string integer data types are just simple. For example, I want to write the age. You can see I use the variable age. You can see it is a blue number, uh, a blue numerical, right? So this is how we define variables. This is how we define integers, right? It's just the same thing. All right. Now I'll just write this and comment this out and then enter. Now float stands for decimal numbers. For example, I want to store my marks in a variable name. For example, they are 98.5. All right. Now you can see that this is a decimal number, and the difference between the two can be seen as if I just copy this statement, Control C, Control V, and Control Z, Control V, and I change this to age and I change this to marks. All right. So if we'll now run it and see what these outputs are. All right. So now I'm running it. As you can see on the screen, that the first one says class int, which stands for integer. Yani age is an integer data type, has an integer data type. Now class float, which means that marks has float data type, which is decimal data type. All right. Similarly, I can write yes underscore or underscore no as if I say true. All right. So true is a boolean value. Boolean data types can be either true or false. All right. They cannot be multiple values like any string, any text, any number, any float, any decimal number. They can be just true or false. If I write, if I just control V, control C, control V, and I run it again, I'll just comment the two out, and now I run it. You can see on the screen that it will say class bool. All right, and hence we can conclude this variable is storing a boolean value. Similarly, not to be much thought upon, but uh, any complex underscore number, if I say is equal to, in Python, they can be used as, instead of 2 plus 3 iota, Python uses 2 plus 3j. All right. And if similarly I control that, I'll just copy it, paste, and see, yes, I'll just comment this out. And now if I run it, you'll be able to see on the screen that it says class complex. It signifies that this variable stores a complex number. Now, last but not least, it is typecasting. Typecasting is changing the data type of one variable into another variable. For example, age is a variable, and I write this. Let us not take it as age, I write it as marks is equal to 98.5. Alright, now pause the video right here and think what data type it is. Alright, I hope that you have guessed it. And if you have guessed it right, do make sure to write in the comments. Okay, so this is basically a string data type. How? You can see that we have enclosed 98.5 in double quotes, which signifies that it is a string. For confirming, we can write print type of marks. Alright, and now I run it. You'll be able to see on the screen, it will say class str. Now, I want to use this as a number. For example, I write total underscore marks, sorry, marks is equal to marks plus 15, or say marks plus, let us say, 50. The total paper was of uh, say 20 marks, sorry, 200 marks. All right, now if I run it, let's see what the output is. Boomer. It says type error only can only concatenate str, not int to str, which means that it cannot concatenate or join a an integer with a string. It can only add a string to a string, which means that we'll have to convert this marks into from string to an integer or a float number. And how we do this is that float enclose the variable name float, marks, in the function float. Now this marks will be converted into float, that is 98.5, and if I add it, the output would be 148.5. Let us see what the output is. Oh, sorry, I forgot to print it. Total underscore marks. Alright, now if I run it, let's see what the output is. The output is 148.5, as we desired it to be. Alright, now one thing to note is that this function will only work if the string only contains an integer, and only contains uh, a float number or an integer number, or to be more in a broad sense, that it should only contain a numerical data type. If I say a in it, and now if I run it, let's see what the output is. It says could not convert string to float because it has a in it. A cannot be interpreted as any number. All right, so while converting, do make sure that the string only contains an integer or a numerical data type, to be more clear. Last thing we'll do is that swapping two variables. Now in hardcore languages like C++ or C hash, we had to use a third variable to swap two variables. In Python, we can do it without creating a third variable. For example, there is a variable a, or with a more relevant name, num1 equal to 10, num2 equal to 20, and I'll just print them for you guys, num1 and num2. All right, now if I run it, you must see on the screen 10 comma 10 space 20, and that's what it is. All right, now, which means that num is storing 10, num1 is storing 10, num2 is storing 20. Now I have to do I have to put value of num2, that is 20, into num1 and 10 into num2. How will I do this is, I'll just I uh, uh, I just want to for example, hmm, I want this box, say wait a second. Hmm, this is a box with a label num1, and it currently is storing the value 10, and this is a box with the name num2, and it is currently storing 20. Now I have to take this 10, I want to take this 10, sorry, and put it in num2, and I have to take this 20 and put it in num1. You can see I just want to uh, basically I want to let 10 and 20 be there, and I'll just pick this box up. I'll just pick this box up and put it in the position of num2, and I'll just pick num2 box and put it in the position of num1, and then my output will be num2 will be storing 10, should be storing 10, and num1 should be storing 20. As you can see, I just have to swap the boxes, and that's what actually Python lets us to do. Let's see how we do it. I'll just write num1, num2, and then is equal to, and then I'll since I had to just swap the boxes from beneath the numbers, similarly I'll do this in this case num2. I'll swap those I'll swap the positions of num1 and num2 as this. I'll write num1 comma num2 is equal to num2 comma num1. So what the computer will do is, it will follow the C technique, SEA, which is substitute, evaluate, and assign. It will first take the value of num2. All right, it will first take the value of num2, which in this case is 20 right here, and it will put in it in this position. I'll just remove this and write 20 here. All right, and now it will see for num1's what value is num1 storing, which is 10 in here, and I'll just cross this out, and the computer will write 10 here. Now substitution has been done. There's no evaluation, there's no plus minus, so evaluation is skipped. And then assign this value, the corresponding value is assigned to the corresponding variable, which means this value, this 20 is assigned to num1, and 10 is assigned to num2, which was our actual motive. Now if I just print this state write this statement again, num1 comma num2, let's see what the output is. As you can see, the values have been swapped. Earlier, the value of num1 was 10 right here, and the value of num2 was 20. All right. Now the value of num1 has been changed to 20 and the value of num2 has been changed to 10, and we are successful in our coding. I'll just write here swapping of swapping of variables. All right. So uh, we are done with today's video. Welcome back, guys. So we are done with today's video, and I hope that you have learned a lot. And in the next video, we'll be beginning with if else ladder. So till then, take care and bye bye.